I have it here. It's live.
Yep, you like that.
Thank you. Hello. Welcome to my cake kitchen. If we're meeting for the first time, hello there. And for those who already know me, the lady in the scarf has been sent on an errand. So I am here to replace her. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from my UK-based home kitchen. And if you're wondering who I am Gladys, baker cake artist. And over here, I make simple, informative tutorials to help you navigate baking and decorating easily. We're back, right? We're back. And I'm just going to get through what we're doing exactly today. And then the rest will just fly with the wind, okay? Today, we're trying to cut this cake. I'll be talking you through all the things you need to know about cake servings, some things that are new, some things that are very normalized that you would have seen online and elsewhere, and some things that are just informative for you to just know. And then we'll be going ahead to cut this panda cake. The story about this panda cake is rather an exciting one. We should have cut it sometime last week, but boy, my week got so long. I went and had time of my life, people. I'll tell you all about it, but we're here to do cake, okay? So we're catching up. We're talking all things cake servings, and then we're going to be cutting into this cake. In that, you, as a customer of cakes, that is, if you're buying cake for any occasion in your life, would probably get some tips on how to derive the best out of your cake servings. And if you're a cake maker, I'll give you the exact measurement and quantities for this cake, just so that you have some sort of understanding of what this cake is likely to derive, just in case you're a cake maker making this cake. Ultimately, this should be helpful for both cake maker and customer, and of course for those of you joining me in the chat. But if you're just joining in, hello there, all of you. There's Lollipop, there's Starpether. Hi people, great to have you back. Easter is over, but I hope you guys had a great time. It's good to be back. It's good to see you. I just said the lady in the scarf is going on an errand, okay? So go find her. just You know what? I am scared cutting this cake up because I don't know what's left of it. Because you know what? I told you people, my life is busy. So once we finished the tutorial, I just lifted the cake. Normally, you know me, I'll leave it on the countertop. But because it's got the cream in it, I just put it in the fridge. And that's it. So I only brought it up right in time for this tutorial. So it's chilled solid, but I guess that will be an advantage to us. So if you're in the chat, hello there. Right. So cake servings. Now, if you're a cake maker, the subject of cake servings is important because cake servings will help you derive or conceptualize your size of the cake and ultimately be able to advise a customer on the pricing of the cake. Depending on what your business structure and what influences your pricing, you may be able to determine the price of a cake by portion sizes. So for instance, if you are charging, let's just say £5 per serving, if someone came to you and told you they wanted a cake to serve 15 people, you multiply that £5 per serving by 15, that is 45. So then you have to go ahead and determine what cake exactly will serve 15 people. For me, a 15 serving cake will be a 5-inch standing at 6 inches tall, which means it is cut up in what you call the slab or cutting board method. I'll talk you through all of that. And then it can be divided up further to give you 15 servings. In fact, the 15 servings is the minimal number. It can go up to 18 servings, or a direct equivalent of that 5-inch, 7-inch cake is admittedly a 7-inch cake standing at about 4 to 4.5 inches tall. If you cut it by the slab or board method, you will get up to 15 to 17 servings. But of course, if you do go by the wedge method, those servings can slightly vary. For instance, that could probably, if you go by the 7-inch, 4 inches high, you're likely to get up to 12 to 15 servings. Cake sizes vary greatly. There are industry standards to serve as guidance for how you cut your cake, but most importantly, it is important for you to inform yourself about your strategy, your objectives for your cake making process, and of course your pricing, so you can advise a customer better. Now, to the customer, if you're watching this and you are a customer of cake, buying cakes for any occasion, of course the subject of servings are only more important or significant if you're talking to a custom cake maker, because you're having the cake made exactly to your exact preferences. So it's important you give them a guide on how many people you're serving. I should say that when you are requested to give a number of servings, it doesn't have to be exact. A general guidance on how many people you're serving is important. But even outside of the guidance, what may be factored into the size of your cake is largely also dependent on your preferences and circumstances. So perhaps maybe whilst you may be having a guest of, let's say, 10 at a dinner table, you may preferably want to carry some extra cake home. How big or small the excess or surplus you want to carry home will be factored as an addition to your overall size of the cake and serving. So for instance, if you love cake, but you're having a small intimate event at home and you're inviting 10 friends over, and yet you want to have some cake to take with you, the question will be, well, you're serving 10 people, including yourself and all and sundry. However, if you want to take some cake home, maybe your closest serving will be 15 or 20, so that you can serve 10 people and then probably take half of the cake home. So when I'm dealing with customers and I've asked them how many servings, sometimes it can be a little bit confusing for them, because there are people who are like, I just want a cake. I don't care to tell you how many numbers I'm serving, because in fact, I don't care to serve anybody. And that can be a very confusing and difficult subject to have, because people don't necessarily like to talk about money or their intentions when they have a fear of being perceived as being slightly not mannered or unkind, because who doesn't want to serve their customers? But cake serves different purposes to different people. For instance, if you're having a wedding and you have an intimate wedding of up to 50 people, and yet you want your cake to be a grandstanding wedding cake, you're not exactly going to settle for a cake to serve 50. And it doesn't necessarily mean because you're having 50 people, you should be serving 50 people. The general intention is that you have to, if you're dealing with a custom cake service, all the information that is required of you has some sort of intention to it. So it's important to kind of be willing so that you can unpack all of that and be able to get the best out of your custom cake purchase. Because after all, that is what makes a custom cake exactly a custom cake. With that in mind, I hope though, if you do decide to go and get a custom cake, you can utilize this information to your advantage. But of course, if you're buying cake from your generalized supermarket places, like your Costco, like your Walmart or Asda in the UK, or anywhere where it's like a generalized bakery place to get a cake, of course, normally people don't consider servings, because the cakes are just made to order and you don't have a lot of control. And sometimes the intention is that you just want a cake and perhaps do not care about the fuss that comes with the generalized information surrounding cake buying, servings, and cuttings. So I hope that information is useful. With that in mind, there's a lot of you in the chat there. Hello there. If you're just joining us, great to have you. There is Sandro. Hi, Sandro. That's a horrible cake. Sandro, thank you very much. It's a horrible cake. I'm glad it's not for you. So, Sandro, I'm going to ask you nicely. If you're just joining us for a chat, I'm sure you can have an opinion about how the cake is. But I'm going to ask you nicely to be kind in the chat. And if you can't do that, you're welcome to go find somewhere to spread your discourse and malice over there. Otherwise, probably be nice in here, okay? You're welcome. We're not against opposing views. And if you find this cake horrible, thank you. That's fine. I'm glad it's not your cake. And perhaps you won't be buying a cake from me. That is fine. But I will say, for the interest of community and engagement, be kind in the chat. And if you cannot do that, move along. And if you can't move along, I'll probably make that easy for you. So that's a polite notice to say you know, we're not against anybody in the chat, but if you cannot be polite and have manners, then we won't tolerate your being here. Thank you very much. That said, Lollipop, don't even bother like defending it. It's fine. I know the cake is all right. It's not for everybody. And whilst we're on the subject of cake cutting, a little bit of a deviation here, right? So if you've been on this channel for a very long time, or you followed me forever, you will know that I don't look like this always. I almost always have a scarf, and that is by intention and for convenience. As a black woman, I have like the magic of looking different any other day, but that will add another extra layer of responsibility being here. So whilst the scarf is a comfort thing for me, and also an enhancement of my appearance, it is rather a thing of ease for me. Most people in my life will say, I love a scarf. I love me a good scarf. I don't care what color it is. And by the way, those of you who don't know, it's not a turban. I think turbans have some sort of, I may be naive, but I think turbans have some sort of religious connotations to them. Mine is not a turban, it's just a scarf. So I could pick up anything. As a Ghanaian, I'm Ghanaian, by the way. I love a good scarf, okay? We've been tying scarves forever, so I love me a good scarf. But the scarf also tends to, beside convenience, hide a lot of the drama with styling my hair and all of that. So I say all of that to say, when I get out of the channel and I have somewhere to be, perhaps church and other places, I don't have a scarf on always, and I make the effort of looking a little bit different with a different hairstyle. So over the weekend, I was at a wedding. I was hosting a wedding, and yeah, it was amazing. Because I do interact with you and give you snippets about my life, but generally this channel is about cake making. So whilst I didn't post, I did hint at my whereabouts, as in where I was headed over the weekend in previous videos earlier in the week. And by Sunday, after a long weekend of just great activity, I posted a photo of me after the wedding. And I could talk you through all the intention about the photo I posted, but it was just a small thing to kind of interact and say hello. I'm not hiding away, but you know, I've got other responsibilities over there. All of you were just greatly, anyone who commented on the video was just positive, tapita, and there was a generalized interaction about our Easter celebrations and all of that with best wishes. Now tell me why, some grumpy person, and I'm not angry about this, I'm so indifferent, but this is just funny to say, interactions on the internet are a little bit wild sometimes. I'm like, it leaves me wondering, okay? Tell me why somebody shows up and decides, and this is the comment, I think, I'll paraphrase, something in the lines of, oh, I liked your hair or how you looked earlier. Your hair looks weird. And this is how I looked. Probably because the photograph was taken at a different angle and it was dark. The wedding was busy, and I don't tend... I'm not a poser. I can pose for a thumbnail, but I'm not a person you would find like posing. I am so awkward socially, and at events I tend to have very serious responsibilities. So posing for a photo is just something that is not in my norm of activity at all. So I literally was sat at the end of the evening so tired with my hands on the stage somewhere, and then the photograph was taken of me. So it's not a great photograph, but it's just nice for representation, and I'm not even bothered about the quality of it. Tell me why somebody feels the need to tell me my hair looks weird to them. And a little part of me just wanted to say to them, thank God my hair is not to impress you. The interesting part of it, is that the person who made this comment, I tend to be very present and interactive in my comment section a lot, because generally the community is very positive, I should say. So this is not a reflection on all of you anyway. You guys have been so kind and nice to me, and I return the favor always when I can. So yeah, I am sure if that person has even so much left a positive comment in the past, I would have seen it. But I've never seen a comment from them in any shape or form. except somehow they feel so obliged and yeah, so entitled to make comments about how I look by a person with no profile photo. So I told them to go to Specsavers. Hello, did I tell you I don't do this for your validation, okay? And I don't look this way. I have to look a certain way for work, and I try my best. And if I'm not looking like this, which I don't always anyway, I have a pretty scarf and I still look okay, and I love how I look. Thank you very much. Oh God. Well, Lollipop, that's so kind of you. They came back, they're like, oh, I look so weird. I just think if you don't have anything nice to say about the way someone look, we can't all be models and we can't all be conventionally pretty. Okay, we just cannot. And I'm not even about that life. Okay, I'm not arguing with how you think of me. You know, beauty, they say, lies in the eyes of the beholder. But I think I take the view that, especially on the internet, comments tend to affect different people different way. I mean, I am older, have a different set of values. It doesn't bother me. Thankfully, I'm not in the business of inviting such negativity because I am primarily a cake making channel. What could go wrong with cake making? So I'm not even mad about that. But I'm just saying, you know what? You may never know how someone is feeling on the other end of the phone. And if you feel entitled to comment about something, I'm not saying we should all be sycophantic and be here like bowing down to everybody's whims. But if you have nothing nice to say, probably manners will dictate. Just don't say anything at all. Just pass on. It's not your cup of tea. Move along. You know, I see so many things on the internet that you will hardly find me commenting on anything at all, you know. And there are so many things we all may not agree on, but it's not an invitation for conflict and negative discourse. Okay, so yeah, sometimes also when words are written, context is missing. So as Lollipop rightly pointed out, they may just be quipping. For instance, if this person met me in person and I looked different, supposing they've always seen me in the context of a very conventional, like traditional scarf wearing, it can be a little bit jarring. I have some stories, okay? People like falling their jaw over, like, is that you? Like, yeah, it's me, thank you very much. And it's this, it makes for laughter and conversation. I understand that. But if you put that in text and I'm not there, it's sort of, you don't have context, you don't have body language, you don't have tone. All it looks is you look weird. So I'm just going to interpret it the way I see it, because the way I see it is you should not be telling anybody they look weird unless you can see them where the context of the weird is conceptualized in a way that makes for understanding. Do you see what I'm saying? I don't make a thing of making my appearance a subject here, okay? So I just wanted to say that because of this person who is in my, over there saying the cake is awkward. Okay, thank you. You know what? Thank you, all of you. Look, thank you. Let's just move on. Okay, so let's talk about how we are going to cut the cake. I'll just talk you through a few of the cake cutting. Oh Lord, I'm just going to talk you through some of the ways that you can cut a cake. And if you've been on the channel before, you would have seen me cut a cake here. So this is not the new this is not a new thing to cut this cake, but I'm going to try a new technique, which is the geometric cutting style. Okay, so there are a few ways you can cut your cake, and I should say generally we know about the two ways, which is the wedge method. I think, if I remember rightly, the wedge method is almost like, Americans, don't shoot me, but we've been told the wedge method is the American method, where you cut the cake from the inside out and you have the wedge coming out of it. Okay, or you have the slab method where the cake is cut this way and then you cut it up. So those are the two ways you can cut a cake. But besides the two ways you can cut a cake, there's the wedge, there's the slab. There's obviously now in recent times, I don't know how long this has been for, but there's the geometric method, where in recent times you would have seen a trend where the cake is cut all the way down, and then it is cut out nicely. That's what we are going to be trying today. In fact, as a cake maker, having done this for nearly 10 years, this is my first attempt. Apparently, the geometric method allows you more cake than you normally would if you use the wedge or slab method. So we're going to try that and see. But if you want to see the other various cake servings, I think I've covered that generally in a short series a little while back. So you're going to have to go back to some of my very old previous videos, or you want to see some of my most recent sessions where I cut some of the realistic cakes I made, and the servings were discussed in details over there, which is why I'm not going to repeat that style of servings. Those were the slab method as well. So go back and have a look. The thumbnail should inform you what subject we're discussing in the video, so it's easier, and it is more recent than the servings I covered in the short series. That aside, if you're just a cake customer, or more so if you're just one who is starting with your cake making, just so you know, there are two sort of guidelines for cutting your cake. We have the party servings. The party servings will almost be what you call coffee servings. And the idea of that is that those cakes are a little more chunky. The measurement and sizing is 1 to 2, but it can be confusing to discuss. So I will leave information in the description box, and I will be updating much of that in the community post. So please keep an eye in the community post for more information on cake servings in the industry as guidance. So you have party or coffee servings, or you have wedding or dessert servings. The party or coffee is 1 to 2. In general terms, think about the height of your cake. So if you had a cake like this, right, and you wanted to cut it as a party serving, you put the knife through, cut a slab, and when you size the cake up, the top of the cake should be about 2 inches by the height of the cake. That is what you mean by 1 to 2, right? Whereas if you went for dessert or dessert, finger, or wedding servings, that is 1 to 1. So the wedding serving is half of the party servings, or the party serving is twice a wedding serving. Have I confused you enough? The intention is that a wedding serving a wedding cake serving is part of a larger meal, if you like. People would have had their starters, meal, whole meal, and main meal before having the dessert. So the cake comes in smaller portions, and it's also part of other dessert selections, because if you had a wedding cake and yet, say, your wedding venue, you had several other options of dessert to add to it, it makes for a smaller serving, which means it stretches more, and that is to be considered when you are ordering the cake. However, it doesn't mean that when you get a cake, say whether it's a wedding or it's for any occasion other than a wedding, you can't have the sizes you want. It is always important to have a general guide of what the cake is for, just so that you can get the best information that will assist you for best value. And so that's what I wanted to say, but I will put some more information about servings in the community post. And like I said, I've already covered this in detail. The idea about servings also for cake makers, for instance, is also to make decisions about how you can make adjustment. I can just about speculate that most cake makers don't create servings to exact numbers. If you told me you were serving 15 people, I definitely won't be making a cake to serve 15. I would be making probably to serve 15 18 to 20. And that is because I also have to account for, say, mistakes, and also leave room for the fact that you may not be able to follow the exact serving recommendations that I may give you when I'm making the cake. So there is always room for flexibility when it comes to serving, but ultimately servings and portions do affect size, which ultimately informs the price of a cake. So it is a general thing to discuss when you are purchasing a cake, and that is the summary of it. So back to the types of cake cuttings, we have the wedge servings, which is the one you cut this way and then you take the chunk out. We have the slabs, which you can cut this way and then cut it up. For that, if you have a conventional size of up to 5 inches, it is only a single cut. But any cake that is over 6 inches and above, you can cut the slab and then go on to divide them into chunks. Then you have the geometric serving, which is what we are doing today. There is the cutting board method, where the cake is ultimately lifted onto a work or a cake board surface and then divided over there. And then there's the circular ring. The circular ring is when sort of a circle is created in the middle of the cake, and then you kind of dig it out, and then it means that when you're cutting the cake, you don't have to cut through as you would do a wedge. I know some of these may be so foreign to you, and yes, researching it gave me some of this information. Because cake servings there are just generalized guidance, you would only ever hear about the wedge or slab serving, and of course you would also hear the guidance of the wedding cake or dessert servings to the party or coffee servings generally. So any other thing I have mentioned here may not be exactly new, but are not generally discussed or known in the industry. That said, I hope as this series of lives develop, I'll take the opportunity to come back and cut some of those cake slices based on some of those types of serving guides, just so that we can know how many servings are derived from the different types of cake cuttings. But today, like I said, we're going to be cutting this cake according to the geometric style. So first of all, if you do order a cake and it's your birthday or whatever occasion, you would have had the cake packaged nicely in a box handed to you. And on the box comes what you call a cake care kit. A cake care kit is just a fancy word to say there is information about your cake that should help you, from allergen notes to sometimes information about ingredients specifically, or any other extra information that you would need to know when handling your cake. And in that cake care kit includes a serving guide. Cake care kits are very personalized to each business. They range from business to business. So for instance, my cake care kit is part of my cake care guide. So I have the allergen card and I have the info pack, which is also another card. I think it's 4x6. I could be wrong, but it's a small card. And on the back of the card is various instructions, and it includes which knife to use, how to cut your cake, what to do, and all of that. So in that will give you how you should cut your cake. So I have a pictogram of how you can cut your cake, and for me the recommended serving or cutting guide is based on the slab, where you cut the cake up and then cut it into small slices. Different businesses will recommend different cutting methods. So because of that, it's important that the customer knows what they are getting and how to get the most out of their cake. My cakes are also generally covered in ganache. So I do take notice, even whilst I have documented that information available for the client, when they come to my door and they collect their cake, I stop with them and I make a small chat with them and tell them why it is really important that they get a sharp, warm knife, which I tell them, I say, dip your knife in hot water and let the blade get warm. And that is because you have solid ganache on the back. If you use a blunt tool like a butter knife, all you're doing is putting pressure over the cake, and you're going to crush the cake, and you end up with crumbly pieces of cake. So yeah, I do give all of that information. So you know what, there is always going to be upsides from buying custom cakes. I mean, it's custom, it's made for you, so you can't go wrong with that. I know there's the subject of pricing, some of which we've discussed, but I'm going to move on from there. So your cake care card should give you all the information you need to know about cake, which also includes what you should do, the prep before you cut your cake. And the prep before you cut your cake includes stuff like this. I mean, we have a panda cake here that has the ears attached to the cake through a toothpick or skewer over here, right? It's important you take all of these out. Anything that is non-edible or anything that is just as decorative element can be taken out of the cake. It's all up to you, but it's important. So for instance, I have instructions on my cake care kit about what to do with your cupcakes, how to store them, and even how to prep them for, say, if they were stored beforehand, before they were eaten and all of that. So it's important that you ask all these questions, because look, if I went to cut this cake and I had toothpick in, chances are the toothpick might be missing in the cake. And you know what, when we're all at a party and we're super excited to be eating a piece of cake and we're all like all dandy and happy over there, someone could choke over this. So it's really, really important you take time to think about what you need to do with your cake before you even put a knife through it. But there you go, we've taken the ears out, and the eyes. The eyes were attached to the cake using Trex, which is Crisco. I told you I loved Crisco for attaching up. I love Crisco for using as glue, and as you can see, it's easy, it's come off. Now that doesn't make it great for handling sometimes, but this is a cake made at home, went straight into the fridge after. There is no smudges. If you go back to when we made the cake, when we started making the cake, I talked you through why I made certain choices. As you can see, I told you I love Crisco for using Crisco for covering my cake, sometimes butter for attaching instead of glue. Look at how easy that is. I'm going to turn my kettle on because I'll need to dip my knife in hot water. So we are just taking and there you go. We have a whole cake, and we could redecorate this cake if we chose to, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, there you go. There is I'm missing quite a bit of you in the chat. Hello there, people. How are you all? Tapeta, I'm going back to the chat and I'm seeing Tapeta said she thought I'd been kidnapped. Darling, I was kidnapped at a wedding. It was fun. I told you about the Ghanaian wedding I was going to, Tapeta. Remember, we spoke about that. Melusi. Melusi can't Tapeta. So anyway, we've got our additions taken out. Now let's talk about fondant. I know fondant tends to be a very divisive subject over here. Melusi, thank you. I know fondant tends to be a very divisive subject here, but I'm a cake maker. I can't go and pick a fight with my master. Okay, fondant is hands-on the master over here. Okay, I don't like fondant cakes a lot, and that's because, ironically, as a cake maker, I don't like the sugar. The whole point of my cake making career is because I was looking for clever ways to have a decent, great tasting cake without overwhelming myself with sugar. Well, that was a pointless effort, and here I am. Hello, thank you for being here. Okay, but where I can, I will avoid the excess amount of sugar. And yeah, Fondant, another name for it is sugar paste. So the name should tell you it's an extra amount of sugar, and where possible, I will avoid it. But when it comes to decorative enhancement and details on a cake, you sure can't go any wrong with fondant. Fondant provides you extra medium to extend your decorative details on a cake like none other. I mean, ganache is great. I love working ganache, and I'm a ganache cake artist primarily. But that is because as a business, I was always looking to avoid the extra task and for myself, because if I went for fondant, which is an additional layer of work for me, it will cost the customer more. So I decided that, you know what, I could do without the extra task whilst also giving the customer value. But where possible or where necessary, I will make a fondant cake for a customer. What does that mean? There are people on the internet who don't care for fondant, and so their hard feelings about fondant kind of seeps through the internet, and they're like, fondant is not great. Look, I don't know where you're shopping for your fondant. You can get premium fondant that tastes amazing. Okay, you can have chocolate flavored fondant. There are different places where some people even hand make their fondant. I don't think I like the extra work, but hey, if you're making your fondant and you love it, good for you. I'ma just go buy the damn thing. Okay, that said, if you have fondant on your cake, you have two options. You can eat it or not eat it, but I find most people eat it. It's also the quality of fondant on a cake also depends on how the fondant is prepped. Sometimes I have seen on social media where people buy short-bought fondant, as in supermarket own brand. I've used supermarket own brand of fondant. This is supermarket own brand, that's Tesco. And I can say, if you compare it to some of the premium brands are almost always outstanding in taste and quality. I'm not promoting Tesco. I'm not ripping on the other brands. I'm just saying that there are advantages to either of the options. However, and this, I should caveat this, that this is a personal preference of mine. I am not having a go at anybody. I have seen on social media people looking to kind of save cost and bring value to the customer, which is a good thing. But then they then buy, say, a supermarket owned brand like a Tesco. And if you've been here a long time, you will know I have spoken about Tesco fondant. It is great, but it has downsides. Tesco fondant will not cover your tall cakes easily for you. It will break, it will crack. Did you see my vlog where I was like, cake making is hard? Go check that video out and come back and talk to me. And I've been doing this for 10 years, by the way. Okay, so Tesco fondant will crack. It will give you problems. However, in a business's need to bring value to the customer, they inadvertently compromise on taste, value, and eating experience. I will explain. Fondant, as it is made, it's supposed to be just as is. It is a very pliable, soft material or element that you can, it's almost like soft gummy, you know, that is what it is supposed to be. Now, if you add Tylose powder or what we call CMC, fondant sets really hard. It is very biscuity, chewy, and crackly. Okay, plus the addition of CMC makes it a little bit slimy. It has a slimy aftertaste. So I give you all that detail to say, I have seen some cake makers online who add CMC to fondant that is going to be covered onto a cake. And every time I have seen it, I go like this. I can't watch. Because I'm like, who is going to be eating this crusty, chewy, slimy thing that doesn't taste any great? No wonder people don't like fondant. So all I'm saying is that if you're watching this video, here's a word for you. Cake makers can use fondant, but if you ever see them adding Tylose to the fondant that is going to be covered onto a cake, you want to think twice about that, because it does have an effect on your eating experience. That aside, having CMC or Tylose in fondant has its place, and it's for modeling when you're making model pieces from toys to themed elements on a cake or flowers. CMC and Tylo helps these things set really hard. So there is a place where Tylose can be added to fondant to enhance the quality and texture so it can be used, right? But primarily, as a preference, I don't like CMC or Tylose in fondant for covering onto cake directly, because it would just make the surface of the cake solid hard, and there's no reason for that. That's all. Now that I've said it, you can keep an eye, and that might just make sense to you. That said, let's go on to cutting the cake. Now, when we're talking about how to cut a cake for cake customers generally, I know that not at a party, you don't have the luxury that I have here. I mean, I have a kettle into which my cake serrated knife is dipped. I have cake boards. I have a cake box over here that is going to have the extra cake and everything. I have had time to talk to you about it, but I know that may not be the experience for you when you're hosting your kids' party, and yeah, you didn't want to pick up a knife and look like you're going to be up to no good at your kids' party. So if you're watching this video, this is just a bit of information to say, you know what? Cake cutting that does take intention and prep work. So in future, when you're buying a cake for whatever occasion, make sure you prep for the cutting experience. Okay, that's all. That said, let's go on to cut this cake. Besides that, because I wanted to give you the full serving guide of this cake is a 7-inch cake, by the way. It's a 7-inch fondant cake, and it stands at exactly 5 inches tall. So this is not the kind of cake that we would be cutting. If we were using the slab, I will be cutting it double in the middle. No, because it's 5 inches. Anything 5 inches or less, no. Now I am just going to, for the geometric cake serving, I'm just going to, you divide the cake in the middle straight away, okay, and it goes all the way in. You make sure that you can clean the knife after each cut, because that is important. Right, it's going back into my kettle, and then you wipe it clean, and then you go all the way equal, and then you press it all the way down, okay, and then you take it out. Right, so it's equals. I've cut it into 4 equal sizes. Now you go back in. You go back in. Right. And then you cut it this way, all the way down. Okay. Okay. That's actually exciting. And then you go that way. Okay. You keep it all the way down. Okay. So I have got myself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal portions here. And now this is the exciting bit. You can go back in, because apparently this should guarantee more servings. You go back in, you get this. Okay. Okay. I don't know if I did it right, but anyway. Okay. You will see what I'm doing. I'll turn it to you. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Wow. The geometric cutting is actually interesting. I'll show you what we have here in a minute. I'm just thinking, I wanted something that I can display. Okay, great. I wanted something that I can display the cake for you to view. So, so I went from having the larger knife to having the small one. Okay, there we have it. And then you have this. Okay. Mind you, it's a very dense carrot cake, so. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay. It smells so lovely. Okay. Right. So I've got myself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wow. I'm quite surprised. Okay. Let me not be too fascinated. Let me get on with the work. So just in case if you wonder, I don't think I've done this right, but it's the geometric. Okay. And turns out you may be able to get more servants using that method. Two, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay. And we're not even done yet. I don't know. I don't like cutting cakes. Okay. Just in case you want to see what we're doing. So this is what I mean by the geometric servants. Right, so look at what we've got. So then you go ahead and then you take each one apart and then you cut them up. So you know what? We have 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 servants already from, okay, from just a 7-inch cake. We've got 16 now and we still got these, right? So let me just get these boxed up. Yeah, there's 16 here. Carrot cake is just like, okay, so now my job is to get each one of the center out and then cut that into 2, right? So if that's the case, we have 2, that will be 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32 servants. Wow. Thank you, Ryan. Right, so we have 32 servants for a 7-inch cake, standing at 5 inches tall. And we choose not to cut this. So for those of you who are wondering about the wedge cake, the slab cake, if it's 6-inch and over, you can cut them into two. And we are not doing this. We are not doing that today because I don't want too much cake than I need. All right. So I'm even wondering, what am I doing with this cake? Anyway, so there's 32 servings for this cake. Is that something you would have expected? Now let's wipe the top. I'm just thinking, should I just go ahead and cut it all just so that we know we have the full 32? Okay, let's see. And by the way, our cream cheese has held. It's held up, Lollipop. Okay. Oh God. Okay. I take it that's my cue. Look at me eating cake. Okay. Let's get the job done before we eat cake. So 32 equals servings. Not bad. Now let me wash my hands, tidy this place up, then we can eat some cake. Okay. Producer.
Yes.
Can you come and try a cake?
Definitely. I can, you know, sacrifice myself for the greater good.
Is that what this is for you?
Oh, damn, I guess.
Try that. Tell us what you think.
Okay.
Let's hear what...
I see we've got a carrot cake going on here.
Yep. Tell us what you think.
That's phenomenal. You know me, I like the cakes when they're moist. So, banging.
Are you just saying that?
No.
People?
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, less sweet than the last one, right? Yeah.
In that case, do you want to take this to the mini producers place?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, pack them up.
Yeah.
I'm not going now.
Okay. There. I did promise them a cake for Easter, but because...
Dealing with the various DIY tasks.
Okay, when you finish.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. There you go. So we have 32. We have 32 cake slices. People, turns out I'm not the only person who thinks this cake is amazing. Believe me when I say the cream cheese is so good. Who cares about the cake we are eating? God, this is just good reason to eat more carrot cake. Anyway, so a 7-inch by 5 geometric servings. We had 32. The gluttony of it all, people. The gluttony. Okay. All right. There you go. Okay. Ryan. Ryan, you don't have time to eat cake, do you? Thank you. People, we've managed to cut our cake using the geometric style. And I think moving forward, I would love to cut my cake that way. Because 32 servings, for a 7-inch cake. Not bad. I am picking the ganache in it. Okay. If you can't tell, I did enjoy my cake. I think Tapeta, you made the carved bunny. He isn't pretty, but cute. Who cares, Tapeta? It's a cake. And all that matters is that you made the effort, you learned something new. And whether cute, not handsome, it's still a cake. Somebody's going to eat it, my dear. So well done for trying. That's all. Well done. Carved cakes are not easy to do. Carved cakes are hard to do, but you did make the effort, and that's all that matters, my love. Okay? That aside, some lovely people are going to enjoy eating this cake. I mean, I have to put it in the fridge first so that it's not too exposed. Let me just dig to the fridge quickly. I think on this note, all I want is a nice cup of tea. Tabitha, you made yourself a bunny, a carved bunny, and his bowl tasted delicious. Now I want to know what you made his bowl out of, my dear. I want to know. That aside, good people, you use the box for this cake. You know we don't judge. And we actually do encourage any means that will get you baking. So it doesn't matter if you use the box. As long as you got the results you wanted, that is fine. So people, wow. You know what? I was gallivanting at a Ghanaian event. Okay? It was such a fun-filled Easter long weekend, but equally exhausting. So I remember on Thursday waking up thinking, oh, I'm gonna come on a live. And then I got caught up going to have my shoes done amongst a few different wedding prep stuff. And before I knew, the day was over. And I was so shattered. I was like, oh God, they'll understand. And that was it. Once I came to the idea that you guys will understand and still love me nonetheless, that was it. I just went on about my business, and it's been a long time coming, and I'm just happy to be back today and to see you all again. Okay? But that said, we've done the cake servings. You can see what the servings look like. People, we are about 250 subscribers from 8,000 of you being here. I don't know who all of you are, but I just want to say thank you, okay? I do not know who you are. I don't know what about our channel. Actually, I know, okay? I'm not the best at it, but I try my best to give you the best value over here, okay? So if you haven't already liked the video you're watching today, what are you doing? Are you just here to hate watch us and be rude? Or you want to like the video so that YouTube knows you've been here? The metrics matter. It's not just about being here, but also engaging with us matter, okay? So do like the video, and let's push through to 8K. And I am guessing maybe before the summer. Is it summer already? Daft question, but you know what? I'm African when it's convenient, okay? I like the 40-degree heat. I do not care for the drama of this inconsistent cold that I live with, but hey, I'm not complaining, okay? So yeah, people, whew, the geometric cake serving is worth it. You want to try it, okay? But otherwise, no, I'm talking about 40-degree C, isn't it? Like when we go to Ghana, it's hot. You're looking at 32, 33 degree C. Not 40, not your F, people. You tap at that. You and your 40-degree F. Okay, that's cold. Okay, the C is warm. God, I'm turning into my mom. Okay, that is just by the way. Yeah. It's lollipop. It's not cold, but it's not warm, but the sun is out, isn't it? But it's lovely to have that. It is lovely to have that. So yeah, I want no part of that drama. Okay, lollipop, Tabitha. I want no part of the cold weather and all that there is. So yeah, that is where we are. But people, we've got our carrot cake. We've seen how many servings we can get out of it. I'll update you more about the servings, okay? Tomorrow we're back. I think tomorrow we might bake something, a banana bread or something. The banana bread I said I was going to make, I did bake it, by the way, but I didn't film it. I woke up, I was so time strapped that I woke up in the morning, literally rushed into my kitchen, baked the cake, and then gave it up to my a family friend who wanted it. So that is done. Okay, I'm gonna go get myself a cup of tea, but otherwise, people, I will be back here same time tomorrow. Life is back to normal, people. Life is back to normal. We are back here at 1 p.m. UK time. No worries at all. So look forward to catching me on the live. We have Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, and maybe a bonus video. The bonus video, I don't like to kind of make a fuss about it. The bonus video, when necessary, we can. But you know what? I might as well make this a Monday to Friday show. It's still a lot though, isn't it? Monday to Friday. You know what? This is me and my loud contemplation over here. So yeah, all of you, if you were in the chat trying to chat to me and I was busy yapping about cakes, forgive me, okay? But if you have sat here through the hour with us, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Tapita and Lollipop, much love always for engaging our friends in the chat and for executing your moderator duties efficiently. I don't take that for granted. Yeah, and to all of you who have been here today, happy baking. I'll see you in my next video, which is tomorrow.